Hello viewers and welcome to the Cameroon GCE Math panel on YouTube. Certified team consists of ordinary level and advanced level certified teachers and markers from the different regions, and our objective is to provide you with corrections and how to answer questions in mathematics, additional math, further maths, in statistics as well as mechanics in the shortest possible time. To get to us, don't forget to first of all subscribe, don't forget to like and share these videos with your friends so that equally others' grades might be improved. Now let us begin with the first question of this June 2018 paper 2. Section A, question 1 reads, a shop sells a television set offering a discount of 15% off the normal price. Rena bought the television set for 357,000. Calculate the normal price on the television set. So a discount of 15% here actually means the selling price is 85%. So it was sold at 85%. And this 85% corresponds to the amount 357,000. So 85% of 350,000 will be equal to, so this gives us, cross multiplying, we obtain x to be equal to 100 times 350,000 divided by 85, and that gives us 420,000. The B part of question number 2, rather, don't forget to click on the G on the bottom left of your screen and you can watch all the other videos found in this channel at the moment. Question 2, given that x minus 1 is a factor of f of x equals that, show that x minus 1 is a factor. So x minus 1 equals 0 implies x equals 1. And f of 1 will give us 0 if x minus 1 is a factor. So let's look for f of 1. If it gives us 0, then x minus 1 is a factor. So this gives us 2 into 1 cubed plus 1 into 1 squared minus 2 into 1 minus 1. And the result is 0. Thus, x minus 1 is a factor. The next thing is to look for the other factors. That's the B part of the equation. And in this case, we are going to use long division. That is the division of polynomials. So we have this polynomial divided by the factor which we already have, which is x minus 1, since they say it's a factor. And dividing, we have 2x cubed divided by x gives us x squared. That's 2x squared. Now 2x squared times x gives us 2x cubed. 2x cubed times minus 1 gives us 2x squared times minus 1 gives us minus 2x squared. When we subtract, we'll have x squared minus 2x squared giving us 3x squared. We copy out the other terms, minus 2x minus 1. Now 3x squared divided by x gives us plus 3x. This 3x times x gives us 3x squared, and times minus 1 gives us minus 3x. Subtracting, we will have minus 2x minus 3x giving us plus 1x. Bring what has not been used down. X divided by x gives us plus 1, and plus 1 times all of that gives us x minus 1. When we subtract, we have 0. The remainder is 0. The remainder is only 0 whenever we divide by a factor. So our function can now be written as f of x equals this divisor, which is x minus 1, times the quotient. And when we factorize this quadratic, we will have x plus 1 into 2x plus 1. And we have completely factorized. You have been factorizing from form 3 right up to form 5. So you know how to do the factorization. Question 3. Find the value of x given that 2 to the power x plus 1 equals 1 on 4 to the power 3. The first thing is to observe here that 1 over 4 to the power 3 is the same as 1 over 2 to the power 2 raised to the power 3. That is third law. And using the law of negative exponents, we have 2 to the power minus 6. What is the idea? The main idea here is, since the unknown, that's x, exists as a power, we have to do everything to make the basis the same so that we can equate the powers. So here, we have succeeded in making the basis the same, and we have 2x squared plus 1 equals 2 to the power minus 6. Now the bases are the same. We equate the powers to have x plus 1 equals minus 6 and x will be equal to minus 7. The B part of the equation says you simplify that expression. To simplify the expression, we need to look for the LCM of 5 and 10, which is 10. 10 divided by 5 gives us 2 times all of that value, numerator 5 minus x, minus 10 divided by 10 gives us 1. 1 times that numerator gives us 2 minus x. And when we open out the brackets, we have 2 times 5, 10. 2 times minus x minus 2x, minus 1 times 2 minus 2, and minus 1 times minus x plus x, all that on 10. And further simplification gives us 8 minus x, all that on 10. Question 4. The function f is defined on the set of real numbers as f of x equals that. Evaluate f of 2. F of 2 will be equal to 2 minus 8 into 2 squared, and that gives us 2 minus 32, which equals minus 30. B. Factorize f of x completely. Factorize completely means we should make f of x to be a product of linear factors. A linear factor means the highest power of x is 1. Those are linear factors. So the first thing we'll do here is to factorize so that 2 is common all through. When we factor out this 2, we will be left with 1 minus 4x squared, and that 1 minus 4x squared is a difference of 2 squares. And to factorize the difference of 2 squares, you just take the square root of the extremes, that's the square root of 1 and the square root of 4x squared, which are 1 and 2x. One should be positive and the other one should be negative. And that's the factorized form of f of x. The C part states that we hence solve the equation f of x equals 0. The word hence here means you must continue with the previous answer to solve. So hence f of x equals 0 implies 2 into all of that equals 0. And according to quadratics, it means either the first factor equals 0 or the second factor equals 0. And when we solve x for each, x will be equal to a half or x will be equal to minus a half. Question 5. Copy and complete the table accompanying this question. So this is a logic table. We have P and Q values. So we have P true, true, false, false. And Q true, false, true, false. Negation of P means opposite. That's the opposite. So if P is true, negation is false. Negation is false. If it's now false, negation is true. Negation is true. Now you have to simplify Q and not P. That's what you have there. So Q and not P. Let me cover the one side of the table that is not going to be used. So Q and not P. Q is true and not P is false. So it is false. When both are false, it will be false. When both are true, it will be true. When one is false, it will be false. So Q and not P is only true when both are true. Question 6. Please don't forget to subscribe. As you're watching this video, please tap on the subscribe button below and subscribe so that in case we have any new video, any upcoming event, you will be one of the first people to be aware of how our things do function. Question 6. Given sine alpha equals 5 on 12, find cos alpha and tan alpha. So this question, the first thing to do, it would be nice to sketch the RAT. RAT stands for right angle triangle. So here we have sine alpha, which is opposite of a hypotenuse, that's opposite 5, hypotenuse 12, and that's alpha. The unknown side, let it be x. And since it's a short side, that means it's not the hypotenuse. So we can now look for the short side by using the Pythagoras identity. And the short side will be equal to x equals hypotenuse squared minus the other side squared. That gives us a square root of 119. So cos alpha will now be equal to, the cosine is given by adjacent over hypotenuse. So the adjacent here is our x, which is square root of 119 divided by hypotenuse, which is 12. And tan alpha will be equal to opposite of our adjacent. Our opposite is 5 and our adjacent is x. So we have 5 on rule 119. Question 7. A ship sails from a port A on a bearing of 60 degrees to port B. From port B, the ship sails to C on a bearing of 150 degrees. Given that AB is 60 kilometers and BC is 70 kilometers, calculate the distance AC. With a question like this, it will be very important for you to sketch, to envisage what the results will be. And bearings are measured clockwise from the North Pole. So that's my point A, and the ship sails on a bearing of 60 degrees. So 60 degrees from point A and covers a distance of 60 kilometers to point B. That's the sketch. Now at B, you have to equally indicate a bearing since he has to move again. And he now moves on a bearing of 150 degrees from B to point C, covering a distance of 70 kilometers. And now there is a bearing at C as well. So we are being asked to look for AC. And to look for AC, first of all, be important for us to find out what type of triangle you have here. Now let us look at the two straight lines or the two vertical lines at A and at B. You find out that this line AB is some sort of is a transversal of the two lines, and these two angles are 60 degrees as shown. Then for the other side, you have 150 degrees. The remaining angle to complete that straight line should be 30 degrees. The sum of these two angles gives us 90 degrees. This therefore means angle ABC is a right angle triangle. Since a right angle triangle, we now know how to look for AC. Our AC is the hypotenuse, and this will give us the square root of the sum of squares of the two short sides. So AC will be equal to 60 squared plus 70 squared square root, and that gives us the root of 8,500, which is 19.2 kilometers. Now the B part says you find the bearing of A from C. The bearing of A from C. So let us start from C. So we start from C, we go clockwise. The bearing of A from C will be the angle 270 degrees plus that small angle X, but we don't know the value of the angle X. So let us see how we get the angle X. We know the angle theta from the figure will be given by, since a right angle triangle, tan inverse of opposite of adjacent. That gives us tan inverse of 60 on 70, and that gives us 40.6 degrees. That's theta. And equally, we know the remaining angle that is left there to be 30 degrees, since that line, that BC is a transversal of those two normals or those two north poles. And these three angles, x plus theta plus 30 degrees, gives us 90 degrees. So x must be equal to 90 minus the sum of the other of the two angles. So giving us 90 minus 40.6 minus 30, and we have 19.4 degrees. So our bearing finally will be equal to 270 degrees plus x, which is 289.4 degrees. Question 8. Figure 1 shows a sector of a circle with center at O and radius 10 centimeters. Angle AOC is 38 degrees, and calculate the length of the straight line AC, giving an answer to 1 decimal place. So observing this figure, we see that since OA and OC are the radii of the circle, then this is an isosceles triangle, and we can divide this angle 38 degrees to have 19 degrees and 19 degrees, having two right angle triangles there, and we observe that AP is half the distance AC. So sine 19 degrees will be equal to opposite, that is AP, of our hypotenuse, which is 10, giving us AP to be equal to 10 sine 19 degrees, and it is equal to 3.25 centimeters. Now we know that our AC is 2 times or twice the length of AP, so it's going to be equal to 2 times 3.25, giving us 6.5 centimeters, and that's the answer to 1 decimal place. Question 9. Figure 2 shows a road network for towns A, B, and C and D. Determine the number of ways to move from A to C. Note that this is purely an ordered network. Ordered network means you are given a specified direction in which to move. You don't move anyhow, just anyhow. You have a direction, so it's an ordered network. There's a direction you must follow. So to move from A to C, we can move as follows. We can move from A to B to C following a straight line, or we can move from A to B and then move downwards round to C. So there are 2 ways. Then to move from B to D, we can move in 3 ways as follows. Move from B upwards to D, from B to C, and then to D. And then you can move from B downwards round to C, and that gives us 3 ways. Then the next thing is to look for the number of arc levels in the network. For the number of arcs in the network, we have 5 arcs as follows. So we have 1, we have 2, we have 3, we have 4, and we have 5. So there are 5 arcs in this network. Now question 9, the figure 3 shows a triangle PQR with PR equals 6 centimeters, and we are being told that PD is equal to 2. D is parallel to PQ. Given that QR is 4.5 centimeters, find the value of ER. So using similarities or congruency, we observe that the big triangle is an enlargement or a scalar multiple of the smaller one. So using the ratios, the short side, that is the short ratio of the horizontal length, DR, divided by the long side, PR, should be equal to, for the vertical, the short one, that is ER, divided by QR. And our DR, since our PR is 6 and PD is 2, so our DR is 4, divided by PR, which is 6, should be equal to ER, divided by QR, which has been given as 4.5. And cross multiplying, we have ER to be equal to 4 times 4.5 divided by 6. And this gives us 3 centimeters. Now let's find the area of the trapezium PDEQ. To find the area of the trapezium PDEQ, it will be almost impossible to use the formula half sum of parallel sides times height, because it will be difficult to determine the height here. So what we'll do is, we observe that the area of the trapezium will be the difference of the areas of the big triangle and the small one. So the area of the big triangle minus the area of the small one will give us the area of the trap. And it's so nice that the area of the bigger triangle has been given as 13.5. And the area of the smaller triangle will be given by half base times height, giving us half times 4 times 3, which is 6 centimeters. So PDEQ will be equal to 13.5 minus 6, giving us 7.5 squared centimeters. Question 11. Don't forget to subscribe, and you can get to us in the contacts on screen. Question 11. Given the cyclic quadrilateral and PF is a tangent to the circle, SQR is 70 degrees and PQO is 50 degrees, calculate the angles marked beta, alpha, and theta. The first thing for A, for angle beta, the two lines are radii. That is PO and QO. That's to the center. Therefore means we have an isosceles triangle. And if the angle at Q is 50, then the angle at P is also 50. So we are left with the angle at beta. And the sum of these three angles must give us 180. So 50 plus beta gives us 180. And beta will be equal to 80 degrees. Then at B, for B, we have to look for the angle alpha. According to circle theorems, PT is a tangent, and P to the center, that's PO, is a radii. The angle formed by a tangent and a radii, or a radius, is 90 degrees. And from the previous question, we have the angle of that isosceles triangle at that point P to be 50 degrees. So that 50 degrees plus alpha must give us 90 degrees. And our alpha will be equal to 40 degrees. To find the angle theta, we have been told that the figure BSPQ is a cyclic quadrilateral, and for any cyclic quadrilateral, according to circle theorems, the sum of any two opposite angles must be equal to 180 degrees. So the opposite angles here, we have 70 degrees, and we have theta plus 50 degrees. The total angle at P is theta plus 50 degrees for the cyclic quadrilateral. So theta plus 50 plus 70 should be equal to 180, and this gives us theta to be 60 degrees. Now question 12. The position vectors of P and Q are 2i and plus j and 3i plus 4j respectively. Given that PQ is 2 feet OR, find the position vector of the point R. So if PQ is 2 feet OR, then when you cross multiply, OR will be equal to 5 on 2 PQ. 5 on 2 PQ. But our PQ is given by head minus tail, so OQ minus OP. The head is Q, the tail is P, so OQ minus OP. And our OQ minus OP gives us 2 on 3i's plus 4j's minus 2i's plus j. Remember, when you are subtracting two terms which have sums or difference, you must use brackets to avoid errors. So brackets must be used because I'm subtracting terms which are the sums or differences. So this gives us, when you simplify, you have minus 4 on 3i's plus 3j's. And when you open out the brackets, you have minus 10 on 3i's plus 45 on 2j's. Now let us look for the position, for the magnitude and direction of OP. Mark OP is equal to I component squared plus j component squared, square root of all of that, giving us root 5. And the direction, tan A, let the angle be A, will be equal to y component on x component, that gives us a half. And A will be equal to tan inverse of a half. If you are using purple calculator, you press 1 divided by 2, that's 0.5. You now enter tan, second function, and then tan. That will give you the value to be 26.6 degrees. If you are using Casio or any other higher calculator that uses shift, then you have, the first thing that you do will be, you press shift, then tan, then a half. That gives you 26.6 degrees. Make sure your calculator is in radians. Question 13. Given that minus 1a is the midpoint of the line segments 0, minus 2, and b8, find the values of a, b, and of a and b. So this brings us to coordinate geometry and in particular midpoints. So the midpoints, we have 0 plus b, that is adding the x values. You have 0 plus b, all that on 2, taking the average, comma, the y values, minus 2 plus 8, all that on 2, should be equal to the midpoints that has been given, which is minus 1a. And when you equate components, we have b on 2 to be equal to minus 1, giving us b to be minus 2, and a will be equal to 3. Those are the values of a and b. Question 14. A triangle with vertices 3, 1, 6, 1, and 3, 5 is transformed by the matrix 2, 0, 0, 2. Find the images of A, B, and C under this transformation. First thing to note is that this type of transformation, 2, 0, 0, 2, is an enlargement. So A prime will be equal to, take this transformation matrix and multiply each of the points with it. So you have 2, 0, 0, 2 times 3, 1, giving us 6, 2. For B, we have 2, 0, 0, 2 times 6, 1, giving us 12, 2. For C, that's C prime, 2, 0, 0, 2 times 3, 5, the image should be equal to 6, 10. You find that all the values have just doubled. So NB, all these three can be done using a single matrix, but most students usually make a mistake with that, so I prefer to do it this way. So the image of A prime is 6, 2, image of B, which is B prime, is 12, 2, image of C, which is C prime, is 6, 10. So what type of transformation is this? This is an enlargement. Note that any matrix of the form K0, 0K, which is a transformation matrix, is an enlargement of factor K and origin O. So this is an enlargement. Question 15. A bag contains 3 white balls and 7 red balls. A ball is drawn at random from the bag and not replaced. And not replaced. Then the second ball is drawn. Find the probability that the 2 balls are white. So the probability that the 2 balls are white means the first ball is white and the second is white. Now what's the probability to draw the first ball being white? There are 3 white balls. So probability of drawing a white ball is 3 balls out of the 10 balls in the bag. When the first ball is white, it is removed and kept. How many balls are left in the bag? There are 9. And the number of white balls has reduced by 1. So there are now 2 white balls out of 9 total balls. So this gives us times 2 over 9. Why are we multiplying? We are multiplying because the events are independent events. For independent events, we multiply their probability to have the AND probability, white and white. That gives us 1 on 15. Find the probability that the white ball is drawn, then a red ball in that order. This means the first ball is white and the second is red. So probability of drawing a white ball is 3 out of 10. Now when a white ball has been drawn, the number of red balls still remain the same because no red ball has been drawn. So we are still left with 7 red balls. But the number of balls has reduced by 1. So we are now left with 7 on 10. So this probability gives us 7 on 30 when we simplify. However, you could draw a tree diagram as follows and you will still see the results. So probability of drawing a white ball is 3 on 10, red ball is 7 on 10. That's for the first draw. After the first draw, the number of balls has reduced by 1. So if the first ball is white, we are now left with 2 white balls out of 9. The number of red balls remain the same, 7 or 9. If the first ball is red, then you are now left with, for the second draw, you're left with 6 red balls out of 9. And the number of white balls still remain 3. So you can use that 3 and simplify or to get your answer. You must not use these 2. So this brings us the end of section A. And don't forget to subscribe as we move on to the next section. You can get to us for the contact on screen in case of anything which interests you, but don't forget to subscribe. Now section B, question 1. A tailor is studying the cost of sewing a coat as follows. The cost of buying the material is 15,000. Other expenditures amount to 10% of this cost of material. A. Calculate how much was spent on other expenses. The question says other expenses is 10% the cost of material. So this gives us 10% or 10 over 100 times cost of material, which is 15,000, and that will be equal to 1,500 francs. B is introduced by a paragraph. So we have the tailor worked for 7 hours and charged 1,500 francs per hour for the labor. Calculate the cost of labor. So for each hour, the tailor asks for 1,500 francs. Therefore, for 7 hours, the tailor will ask for 7 times 1,500 francs, giving us 10,500 francs. C, the total cost inquired to make the coat. To make this coat, you have the cost of material plus the cost of labor plus the cost of other expenses. And the sum of all of this gives us 27,000. D, but before D, a paragraph introduces D. To sell the coat, the tailor intends to make a profit of 20% on the cost price. So the cost price here is 20%, and the tailor intends to make a profit of 20%. So the selling price will be more than 100%. Because selling price is cost price plus gain. The percentage selling price will be 120% because the tailor intends to make a gain. So this will give us 120% of the cost price, which is 27,000. 120 or 100 times 27,000 give us 32,400. So the tailor must sell this coat at 32,400 to make a gain of 20%. You are given a matrix 2, 3, 3 minus 1. Find the inverse of M. So the inverse of a matrix needs the determinant and is given by the product of the leading diagonal entries, that is 2 times minus 1, minus the product of the off diagonal entries, that is 3 times 3. And that gives us minus 11. The adjugate is swap the position of the leading diagonal entry. So swap the positions of 2 and minus 1 and change the signs in front of the off diagonal entries. That's the adjugate. This now brings us to the inverse. Inverse is 1 over determinant times adjugate. So 1 over minus 11 times adjugate. You can leave it like that. You can further simplify, but I advise you leave it like that because many students in simplifying, they make a lot of mistakes there. Now B, hence solve the equation 2x plus 3y equals minus 11 and 3x minus y equals 22. So here, if you observe, if you look at this matrix very well, you will see that there is the matrix, the coefficient matrix here will be equal to the M that is given in A part. And that coefficient matrix is 2, 3, 3 minus 1. 2, 3, that's from equation 1, and 3 minus 1 is from equation 2, the coefficients of x and y. Now we are solving for x and y. This should be equal to the constant matrix on the right hand side, minus 11, 22. Now the values of x and y, because they said hence, means if you use the previous answer, it just be xy should be equal to the inverse, that's M inverse, times this constant matrix on the right hand side. That's M inverse times the constant matrix on the right hand side. I want to simplify, I have minus 1 on 11 into minus 55, 11. Multiplying each of the matrix elements by minus 1 on 11, we have 5 minus 1. So the values of x and y are respectively x equals 5 and y equals minus 1. Question 2. In a class of 50 students, 40 like math, 30 like physics, and 5 like neither math nor physics. A. Draw a Venn to illustrate this relationship. So we have our universal set, that's the math set, and that's the physics set. It's advisable to always start from the center. The center here is the intersection. But the question has not given us the value of or the number of students who like both math and physics. So we are going to assign a value of x to it. Let's say the number of students who like math and physics is x. Now the total number of students who like mathematics is 40. So we have to reduce this 40 by x. So how many students who like mathematics only? You're left with 40 minus x in that region. And then for physics, x has been taken away already, so we'll be left with 30 minus x. And the number of students who don't like anything, put outside these two union of sets. So that is the Venn for the equation. Now, find the number of students who like both math and physics. Both math and physics implies the intersection. And from the question, you have been told that there are 50 students in the class. So when you sum all the different regions in this universal set, it must give us 50. Thus, 40 minus x plus 30 minus x plus 5 should be equal to 50. And 75 minus x will be equal to 50, giving us 25 to be equal to x. Thus, x is 25. Now C, find the number of students who like mathematics only. For math only, we have the region 40 minus x. And our x is 25, so we have 40 minus 25 giving us 15. B part. The functions f and g are defined on the set of real numbers as f is such that x is mapped onto 1 minus x, g is such that x is mapped onto x squared plus 5. Evaluate f of minus 3. This one is a trap. Some students will still fail this one. F of minus 3 equals 1 minus minus 3. That minus was there. Copy the minus 3 and place. So you have two minuses there together, and since these two minus signs are not separated by any number, it becomes multiplication. So it gives us plus. 1 plus 3 is 4. B, find g of f of x. G of f of x means in the function g, replace x by f of x. So in that function g, that's my x, I've replaced by my 1 minus x, and I continue with plus 5. I open out the bracket. 1 minus x all squared is the same as 1 minus x times 1 minus x, and then plus 5. So this gives us 1 times 1, 1, 1 times minus x, minus x times 1 minus 1, and minus x times minus x plus x squared, and then plus 5. Bringing like terms together, we have 1 plus 5, which is 6, minus x, which is minus 2x plus x squared. The C part now says find the values of a and b, given that a plus bx plus x squared is g of f of x. So this our function g of f of x in the B part should be equal to a plus bx plus x squared as required in C. So it's identical. Now equating coefficients, the x squared is equal to x squared. The term in front of x is minus 2, so our b is minus 2, and a is a constant term, which is 6. Don't forget to subscribe, and you can get to us on the links on screen. Subscription is very important, so that in case we have any updates, any new video, any link, you'll be one of the first persons to be informed and to be aware how things progress. Question 3. Given the function f of x equals 2x squared plus x minus 3, copy and complete the table. To copy and complete the table, it is advisable to do it in this order. Take each of the terms in the function and place in the table as shown. X ranges from minus 3 to 3. Now for 2x squared, each of the terms, square it and multiply by 2. So minus 3 squared is 9 times 2, 18. Minus 2 squared is 4 times 2, 8. Then you have 2, 0, 2, 8, 18. Now x, just copy out the x because the x is just the same as what you have in the first row. So minus 3, minus 2, minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3. Minus 3 is a constant term, so you just copy it all through. Now to obtain the values of y, the first one has been given as 12. We have to sum the values in red. So we have 8 minus 2 minus 3 giving us 3. Minus 2 minus 3. 2 plus 1 minus 3 gives us 0. 8 plus 2, 10 minus 3 gives us 7. And 18 minus 3 plus 3 gives us 18. So we have completed the table. B. Draw the graph of f of x, or values of x, from minus 3 to plus 3. Here the scale has been given. When the scale is given, you must use it. And the scale here is using a scale of 1 centimeter to 1 unit on both axes. So we have 1 centimeter is equal to 1 unit on both axes. We now plot the points. When x is minus 3, y is 12. When x is minus 2, y is 3. When x is minus 1, y is 2. Minus 2 rather. When x is 0, y is minus 3. When x is 1, y is 0. X is 2, y is 7. And x is 3, y is 18. We now use a smooth curve to link these points. Don't use the straight edge of a ruler. You can use a broomstick if it is possible, but don't use a straight edge. So when you link, that is the curve that we obtain. And this is the curve of the function y equals 2x squared plus x minus 3. C now says that we solve the equation f of x equals 0 from the graph. So from this graph, the equation, the roots will be the points where the curve cuts the x-axis, and the values here are you have x equals 1 and x equals minus 1.5. D, they say from graph, solve the equation 2x squared plus x minus 4 equals x by drawing a suitable line on the same axis. So I have to use this equation that has been given in D to obtain a suitable line. But when I look at this equation very well, I'll see that I have my 2x squared plus x minus 3 in it. So I will bring out that 2x squared plus x minus 3 as follows. 2x squared plus x minus 4 is equal to x will be the same as 2x squared plus x minus, I will have minus 3 minus 1 to be equal to x. Now I'll carry the minus 1 to the right hand side of the equation to have 2x squared plus x minus 3 to be equal to x plus 1. And this gives me now y is equal to x. This is the suitable line that I have to obtain, which is the right hand side. You can also see that the left hand side is equal to the curve which I have just sketched. So the line I have to draw now is the line y equals x plus 1. I'll just make a table of values for this line. And when x is 0, 0 plus 1 is 1, x is 1, y will be 2, x is 2, y will be 3. I now sketch these points. So I have the points 0, 1, I have the points 2, 3, and I have the points 1, 2. Using a straight line, I link these points. God is the equation of the straight line, so I have to link with a straight line. And now, to read the values of x for which the two are equal, or to solve that equation, I have to just read the values of x at the points where the two curves intersect. And they intersect at x equals minus 1.5 and at x equals plus 1.5. Those are the 2 points. Construct, that's question 3b now. Construct the triangle ABC with AB equals 3 centimeters, BC equals 4 centimeters, and BC equals 5 centimeters. So I'll start with the longest side, which is 5 centimeters. I use my ruler and measure. That's the 5 centimeters. I write it as BC, which is 5 centimeters. Then, to construct the triangle completely, I will now open out my protractor and take it to a ruler. Measure 4 centimeters. Then make a construction line as shown. I go again to my ruler and measure 3 centimeters. Place it out and make another construction line. The two construction lines now intersect. I'll now use my ruler to link these two construction lines. And that is what I have. And I label that point A. So I have done my A part, that's the triangle ABC. Then, next, they say you should construct the bisector of angles ABC and BCA. So I'll place my protractor at, my compass at B, open it out a bit and cut those two lines as shown. Then I'll place it at the other points, open it out and make a construction line, place it on the points above and make a construction line. The points where the two construction lines intersect, I'll use a ruler to link them as shown. Then I'll go to angle C and do the same thing. I'll open it out, cut those two lines from C, place it at the other points above and make a construction line, place at the one below and make another construction line. And then I link C to the points where these two construction lines intersect with my ruler. So that is the points where the two lines intersect, and I'll label that point X as it has been indicated in the question. Now I've been asked to construct the second circle of triangle ABC with X as center. Normally, when we do angle bisection, we have to construct an in-circle. So I believe that the question is actually asking for an in-circle, because if I'm to do a second circle, I have to do line bisection. And since that the center is X, it means that this can only be an in-circle. So I'll place my compass at that point, center, and make that circle which is shown. That is my in-circle, and I have to measure the radius of this circle. Use my ruler to measure. That gives me 1 centimeter as shown. So I have 1 centimeter. Question 4. The table shows the distribution of marks on a total of 10 obtained by students in the language proficiency test. 2 students scored 1 on 10. 2 students scored 1 on 10. 3 scored 2 on 10. 5 scored 3 on 10. 6 scored 4 on 10, and so on. And 1 student scored 10 on 10. So find the mode of the distribution. The mode is that statistic that has the highest frequency. Which of them has the highest number of students? 5 has the highest number of students, so the mode is 5. The mode is not 8. 8 is telling us that 5 has the highest number of students. The mode is the statistic and not the frequency. 8 is frequency, the statistic is 5. So the answer must come from the statistic and not from the frequency. Then B, the median. For the median, you have to first of all observe that we have a total of 30 scores, or 30 students rather, and the median falls between the 15. The half of 30 is 15. So we have 15 this way and 15 that way. The median falls where there is no number. So the median will be given by the average of the 2 positions. And at the 15th position, we have 4. And at the 16th position, we have 4. So the average of 4 and 4 gives us the median to be 4. Now the mean for a cumulative frequency, for a frequency distribution table as shown, the mean is given by the sum of the product of scores and frequency divided by the sum of frequency. So we have 1 times 2 plus 2 times 3 plus 3 times 5 plus 4 times 6 plus 5 times 8 plus 6 times 2 plus 7 times 1 plus 8 times 0 plus 9 times 1 plus 10 times 1 divided by the sum of all the number of students. That's 2 plus 3 up to 1. This gives us 125 on 30, which is 4.167, or you can write 4.2 to 1 decimal place. It depends on you. The question did not specify. D, the pass mark is 6 out of 10. Determine the number of students who failed the test. So to fail the test means you have either 1 on 10 or 2 on 10 or 3 or 5 on 10. So the number of students who failed the 10 should be those who have 1 on 10. You have 2 plus 3 plus 5 plus 6 plus 8. This is the total number of students who failed the test, giving us 24 students. Then E, the probability that a student chosen at random will pass the test. To pass the test, you must score 6 on 10. That's 2 students, or 7 or 8 or 9 on 10. The total number of students, you have 2 plus 1 plus 0 plus 1 plus 1 on the total of 30 students. So that gives us the probability to be 5 on 30, which is 1 on 6. Figure 1 shows triangle OBC and OYX with points B along OY and OC and C along OX. Given that OY is 2OB and OX is 3OC, OB is equal to A and OC is B, expressed in terms of A and B, the vectors OY. Well, to me, the answers have been given. The equation is direct. OY is equal to 2 times OB. 2 times OB. But the thing is that most students will fail this question because they will replace OB by small b. That's the trick in the question. It's very simple, but there's a trick in it. Because most of the times their OB is equal to small b. But this question says that OB is small a. So it's equal to 2a. So you have to shine your eyes. Then OX. OX will be equal to, we have been told in the question that OX is equal to 3OC. And our OC is small b. So it's 3b's. Then C, now find YX. Know that YX is equal to head minus tail. That is, the head is at X and the tail is at Y. So we have head minus tail, X minus Y. Then the correct way will say OX minus OY. So this gives us 3b's minus 2a's as you already have. And that brings us the end of this paper. Please subscribe and share, and if you click on the G icon having the G on the bottom left of the screen, you will see all the other videos from which you can watch. It's nice being with you, and don't forget to stay tuned. Bye bye.